Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Or if this is your first time here, hi, I'm Tess Lark, and this is an art and beauty channel. So if those are videos you're interested in, make sure you subscribe because I am here for you every single week. I'm really excited because today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make these 3D resin floral coasters. So I tried this technique in a video that I posted a couple weeks ago that I will go ahead and link below, but I think that I've kind of gotten a little bit better at doing this technique, so I wanted to show you guys and kind of show you the lessons that I've learned. Also, I found a really nice way to kind of finish the coaster off, so it has a nice finished kind of professional look to it, and I can't wait to start crafting, so let's just jump right into this video. And if you guys do like this video, please don't forget to give it a like because it does help my channel out a lot, and it also lets me know that I'm making content that you guys want to see from me. I also run an Etsy, so if you're interested in purchasing some of these coasters for yourself or a loved one, or you'd like to see what I have up for grabs, I will go ahead and link my shop also below in the descriptions. It is fragilbeings.com. Oh, last thing, I will go ahead and list all the materials that I use below, so if anybody is interested, all of those materials will be right down there so you can check them out for yourself. For the sake of time, I pre-mixed my resin, but I'm just going to show you how I mixed my colors. And I find for this technique, it's nice to use two colors. I've been using a pigmented color and then a white and some glitter for the center of the flowers. And for these coasters, I wanted my color to be like a pinkish red color, so I'm using some red from Let's Resin and a couple of drops of fuchsia from Pinata Color, along with a couple drops of brown from Let's Resin. And I also add a little bit of white to this, just to make the color a bit more bright and also opaque. And then I'm just kind of adjusting the color as I think that it needs to be adjusted and mixing that all together. The general rule of thumb when mixing color and resin is it should be 90% resin and at most 10% pigment. So you can really kind of layer your pigment in there and get like really nice vibrant hues. And then for my second color, I'll be using a lot of this white by Pinata Colors, and I'll also be using a pigment powder that has a really pretty iridescent blue shimmer to it. And I find that just a little bit of this powder goes a long way, and it really has such a pretty effect on the finished piece. And when you're mixing your resin, you really want to make sure that you're taking some time to scrape the sides of your container and the bottom just to make sure all of that color is really evenly incorporated. For the center of the flowers, I'm going to be using some gold glitter. And when mixing the glitter, you really just want to add enough resin so that you kind of have a bit of a paste, but you don't want the glitter to expand and float out through the whole coaster. You want it to stay in the center so you have a center point of your flower. And after I have all of my colors mixed, I do like to go ahead and let the resin sit for just a couple minutes just to give some bubbles some time to rise to the surface. And then I will use my heat gun and just go and pop those surface bubbles. Another technique that I like to use is kind of folding the resin when I have the heat gun kind of close to it, just kind of popping bubbles throughout the pigment. And I will just repeat that process with my other colors and hit the glitter just a little bit. Then I'll be using some Ziploc bags to make little piping bags for my colors. So I'll pour each color in and try to get as much air out of the bag as I can before zipping it up and sealing it up. But I won't actually cut the bags open until I'm ready to use them, just to make sure that I can minimize the amount of mess. And I'm just going to start out by pouring my clear resin into my coasters. And I find that I like about a coaster that's about 50 milliliters worth of resin thick. So when I'm mixing my resin, I'm trying to measure in advance how much I'm going to need for each coaster and also for my colors. And again, after pouring the resin into the coasters, I will let that sit for another few minutes. Again, just to let the surface bubbles have a chance to come up to the surface so I can pop them more easily and not have as many bubbles in my finished product. It's also really helpful to take a popsicle stick around the edges of your mold so you can get a clean finish on the edge, and again that just helps those bubbles come up to the surface so you can then take your heat gun and pop all those bad boys. And then I'm going to start out by just putting some glitter down into the center of each one of these little coasters, as close to the center as I can get. I also do like to kind of loosen the glitter up a little bit on the edges, kind of like swirl it around a little bit, just because I do want it to expand a bit. Like I don't want it to look really stiff in there, but again, just not go throughout the whole coaster. You want it to definitely be like a focal point in the center. Okay, now for the fun part. So I'm just gonna go ahead and squeeze all that color to the bottom corner of my bag and twist it off just to make a little piping bag. And then I'm gonna cut the tips. And you don't wanna cut too small so you're having to use a lot of force to get your resin out, but you also definitely don't wanna go too large or it'll spill out and just be completely out of control. So just, practice a little bit. You can always put your resin into another bag if the hole's just way too big. And then I'm just going to make circles around the center of the flower in alternating colors. And I find that I like to start with the white and end with my darker color. And also where the circles start, you tend to get like a little bit of an overlap that can lead to sort of like a blob. So I'm trying to offset where the circles are starting so they're not all in the same area, if that makes sense. The other thing is that you don't have to worry about being too perfect or too precise because it is kind of abstract when it's finished and all the colors kind of melt together in this really nice way. So, don't be too hard on yourself if your circles aren't perfect. Mine clearly are not, but I'm still really happy with the finished product. Then I'll be using a clean popsicle stick to draw my circles into the center, making a petal pattern, starting from the outside and moving in. And when I'm doing this, I'm not going all the way to the bottom of the mold. Like if you can feel the bottom of the mold, you could be scratching your mold. So just really lightly going just through the pigment into the center and then cleaning off my popsicle stick in between. And then I'll just repeat the process with each of the other coasters and we'll see how it goes. Oh, the other thing is that you don't want your colors to overlap, but I find that getting the colors like pretty close together has a better finish so you don't get clear spots between the petals. And then once all of my coasters are complete, I'm going to take my heat gun on the lowest setting, and working from the outside in, I'm just going to use the heat and the pressure of the wind to sort of start blooming out those colors and getting them to blend together a little bit more fluidly, again, so I don't have clear spaces. It's okay if you do have some like open spaces. I find that most of the time they fill in on their own, but this just kind of helps the colors to bloom out a little bit and give your coaster some movement. Using the heat gun again at this point also does help to pop any bubbles that are remaining, and so really just kind of from start to finish working to minimize the amount of bubbles and not just worrying about them at the end, I think is really helpful in having a clear finished piece. And when I'm finished for the night, I do go ahead and cover them with just an old like cake case cover, just to make sure no dirt or hair or dust get in them while they're curing. So I let my coasters set up overnight and they're completely hard. They're looking really cool from the back, and let's just go ahead and pop them out of their molds and see how they ended up. So here's the first one. Oh, and it's so pretty. I am so happy with this technique. I'm getting really cool results. I even like these kind of like blobby white pieces. I feel like it gives the flower like a more organic look to it. And here's the next one. Wow. These are so pretty, and I don't know, I feel like you can kind of see it on the camera because I did use that pearly white in there, the pigment powder, so it's got this really nice kind of shine to it. It's so pretty. Alright, and then my last one. Let's see. I think these are gorgeous. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. So the way that the resin cured actually left like a little bit of a raised lip around the outside. So I'm just gonna use my rotary tool and kind of smooth that out. And then I will be finishing these up. To finish these off, I'm going to be using an oil-based paint pen. It's a metallic gold, and I'm going to use this to just make a little border on the top and around the sides. It is the Deco Color Premium, and again, that's just an oil-based metallic paint marker. Just a little shake, and then really carefully just right around the edge. There. I'll be filling that in gold. So now that I've got all my sides painted, I'm just gonna really carefully go around this edge here to make a little border on the front. This pen is really nice. It's like a felt tip, if you can see. So I'm just gonna use about like half of that just to go around the edge and get closer to you. Just right around like that. that's it for me for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I had a lot of fun making these. I definitely want to make different colors and maybe try a couple different flower techniques next time. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you next week. Bye!